The vast chamber of the Unified Galactic Council fell silent as the last member took their seat. The round room, with its high ceiling that showed the stars beyond, held representatives from 200 worlds. Today, only one topic was on their minds: Earth. 5 ships, said Leader Vex, his voice cutting through the silence. 5 ships sent to this backward planet. None returned. His gray skin reflected the starlight as he moved to the center of the chamber. We must understand why. Commander Gray stood at attention, his tall frame rigid with pride. After 30 years serving the Armada, he was the obvious choice for this mission. His black uniform, decorated with silver pins that marked his achievements, made him stand out among the council members. Commander, you will lead the 7th Armada to investigate this Earth problem, Leader Vex said. Your mission is simple. Discover what happened to our ships and assess if these humans pose any threat to our expansion. Gray nodded once. It will be done. Later, aboard the command ship, Gray met with his team. Officer Reed, a soldier with a perfect record, studied the holographic image of Earth that floated between them. Such a small planet, Reed said, his fingers moving through the blue hologram. And mostly water. The reports say these humans have only achieved basic space travel. They haven't even colonized their own moon properly. Dr. Blue, the mission scientist, shook her head. Her 4 eyes blinked in sequence as she examined the data. There's something we're missing, she said. This planet has unusual properties. The gravity is stronger than what we're used to. The atmosphere has high oxygen levels. And look at these temperature variations, from freezing to burning hot depending on location. Gray watched the planet rotate in the hologram. What kind of creatures would evolve in such a place? Weak ones, Reed answered confidently. Our scans show they're just soft-bodied beings with no natural armor or weapons. They rely on tools. Dr. Blue wasn't convinced. Yet none of our ships returned. The Interceptor was the pride of the Armada's fleet. Its black hull absorbed light rather than reflected it. Its engines moved silently through space. No planet at Earth's technological level should be able to detect it. Gray walked through the ship, inspecting every station before departure. 100 elite soldiers and 20 scientists made up his crew. All had been briefed on Earth's known properties and the potential dangers. Commander, Reed called, approaching with a datapad. The last transmission from the 5th ship, our analysts finally decoded part of it. Gray took the pad and read the fragmented message. Unexpected resistance. Weapons unlike cannot maintain retreat. Not possible. What weapons could primitives have that would threaten our technology? Gray asked. Reed had no answer. The journey to Earth's solar system took 12 days. As they approached the outer planets, Dr. Blue called Gray to the science deck. Commander, I'm detecting unusual energy patterns, she said, pointing to her screens. They don't match any known technology in our database. Gray leaned closer. Natural phenomena? No, Dr. Blue said firmly. These are artificial, and they appear to be some kind of detection grid extending far beyond their planet. Impossible, Reed said from behind them. Our intelligence says they've barely reached their nearby planets. They can't have detection systems this far out. Gray studied the readings. Launch a probe. Let's get more information before we proceed. The small drone, no larger than Gray's hand, shot forward into the darkness. Its sensors were the most advanced. The Armada possessed capable of detailed analysis without being detected. They watched its progress on the main screen. The drone approached Earth's moon, sending back images of abandoned human structures there. Primitive, Reed commented. They couldn't even maintain their moon base. The drone continued toward Earth, its sensors capturing data about the atmosphere and surface. Commander, the technician monitoring the drone called out, we're detecting active scanning from the planet's surface. Multiple sources. Impossible, Reed said again. They shouldn't have. The screen showing the drone's feed suddenly went blank. What happened? Gray demanded. The technician worked frantically at the controls. Unknown, sir. All contact lost. The drone was functioning perfectly then. Nothing. Gray turned to Dr. Blue. Could it be the atmosphere? Some natural interference? Possibly, she said, but her tone suggested otherwise. Or it could have been destroyed. By what? Reed asked. Space debris? Or defenses we don't understand? Dr. Blue suggested. Gray made his decision. We need direct observation. Take us into orbit around Earth. Use full stealth protocols. We'll observe from darkness. The interceptor moved slowly into Earth's solar system, careful to avoid detection. As they approached the blue planet, Gray felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Doubt. Commander, Reed reported, we'll reach Earth orbit in 20 minutes. No signs of detection so far. Good, Gray said. Prepare a landing team. I'll lead it myself. Dr. Blue approached him privately. Commander, there's something else you should know. I've been analyzing the fragments of data from our previous missions. I believe they weren't just lost. They were defeated. Gray stared at her. Defeated? By primitives? Perhaps they're not as primitive as we thought, she said. Think about it. A species that evolved on a world with such harsh and varying conditions. What kind of adaptability would that require? What kind of resilience? Before Gray could answer, alarms blared across the ship. Multiple energy signatures from the planet's surface, the sensor operator shouted. They're tracking us. Impossible, Reed said for the third time. Our stealth technology is failing, the operator interrupted. Something is interfering with our systems. Gray watched as dozens of small objects launched from Earth's surface, rising rapidly toward their position. Retreat to a higher orbit, Gray ordered. Now! But it was too late. The ship shuddered as something struck their hull. Damage report, Gray commanded. Reed checked the systems. Minor damage to the outer hull. But Commander, our main engines are failing. Some kind of electromagnetic pulse. Gray looked at the blue planet below them, now seeming much more dangerous than before. So this is why no one returns, he said quietly. Dr. Blue joined him at the viewport, watching as more projectiles rose. From Earth. The invasion of Earth doesn't fail because we can't get there, she said. It fails because we don't understand what we're invading. The interceptor began to fall toward the planet below. The interceptor fell through Earth's atmosphere, its hull glowing orange from the heat. Inside, Commander Gray gripped his command chair as the ship shook violently. Emergency landing protocols, he shouted over the blaring alarms. Find us somewhere. Remote. Officer Reed worked frantically at the controls. The navigation system is damaged. I'm trying to aim for that large forest area. Dr. Blue secured her equipment as the ship lurched sideways. Our stealth systems are completely offline. They can see us clearly now. Gray watched through the main viewport as the ground rushed toward them. Trees filled the screen. Tall green plants covering rolling hills. In the distance, he could see the lights of a human settlement. Brace for impact, Reed called. The ship crashed through the tree line, snapping trunks like twigs. It skidded across the forest floor, digging a deep trench in the soil before finally coming to rest against a large rocky hill. For a few moments, silence filled the command deck. Then Gray unbuckled himself from his chair. Status report, he ordered, helping a fallen crew member to her feet. Reed checked the systems. Main power is down. Backup generators functioning at 60%. Communications array damaged. He looked up at Gray. We can't call for help. What about our weapons? Gray asked. Defense systems are operational, Reed confirmed. But we've lost our main cannon. Dr. Blue approached, carrying a portable scanner. Commander, I'm detecting multiple signals approaching our position. Ground. Vehicles. They'll be here within minutes. Gray nodded grimly. We knew this might happen. Prepare for first contact. The crew donned their armor, sleek black suits that enhanced their strength and provided protection against most known weapons. Gray addressed his soldiers. Remember your training. We don't know what we're facing, but these are primitive beings. Our technology is still superior. Set weapons to stun only. We need information more than casualties. They exited the ship through the emergency hatches, spreading out into defensive positions among the trees. The forest was dark, but their armor's vision enhancement showed everything in clear detail. Strange animal sounds echoed around them. "This planet is intense," one soldier whispered. "The air feels heavy." "Higher oxygen content," Dr. Blue explained, "and stronger gravity than our homeworld. Conserve your energy." Gray heard the human vehicles before he saw them. Loud, rumbling machines that seemed incredibly inefficient. Bright lights swept through the trees as the vehicles approached and stopped about 100 meters from the crash site. "Hold positions," Gray ordered over the squad channel. "Let's see what they do." Human figures emerged from the vehicles. They wore some kind of protective gear and carried what appeared to be primitive projectile weapons. Gray counted 12 of them, moving with surprising discipline through the forest. "They're soldiers," Reed observed, "not scientists or civilians." "They found us too quickly," Dr. Blue added. "Their detection systems must be more advanced than we thought." Gray stepped forward from his hiding place, raising his empty hands in the universal gesture of peace. The human soldiers immediately pointed their weapons at him. "I come as a representative of the Unified Galactic Council," Gray announced, his translator converting his words to the main human language. "We mean no harm." The humans didn't lower their weapons. One of them, clearly the leader, spoke into a small device attached to his shoulder. Gray's translator picked up the words. "Contact made. Alien life form. Humanoid. Armed response authorized." "They're not interested in talking," Reed said tensely. One of the younger human soldiers seemed nervous, his weapon shaking slightly in his hands. When a small animal burst from the underbrush nearby, the human fired reflexively. The projectile struck Gray's shoulder armor. It shouldn't have been a problem. Their armor could withstand energy weapons much more advanced than these primitive projectiles. But to everyone's shock, the armor cracked, and Gray felt a sharp pain as the bullet penetrated. "Open fire!" Reed shouted, and the aliens began shooting stun blasts at the humans. The forest erupted in chaos. The humans took cover with surprising speed and returned fire effectively. 2 alien soldiers fell immediately, their armor failing against the human weapons. "Fall back to the ship," Gray ordered, pressing his hand against his wounded shoulder. "Now!" As they retreated, Gray watched in amazement as the humans pursued them without fear, calling to each other and coordinating their movements like experienced hunters. Inside the ship, Dr. Blue examined Gray's wound. "How is this possible?" Gray asked, wincing as she removed the bullet. "Their weapons are just metal projectiles." Dr. Blue studied the bullet. "The metal is unusual, and the force behind it was greater than expected." She looked worried. "Commander, I think we've made a serious miscalculation." Reed was monitoring the humans through the ship's external cameras. "They're setting up a perimeter. More vehicles arriving. They're calling for something called heavy equipment." Gray struggled to his feet. "We need to understand what we're facing." Dr. Blue analyzed everything, their weapons, their communications, their tactics. Dr. Blue nodded, already working at her station. "Commander, look at this," she said after a few minutes. "I've intercepted their communications. They're not surprised by our presence. They're following established protocols for extraterrestrial contact." "That's impossible," Reed said. "This would be their first encounter with alien life." No, Gray realized, the truth dawning on him. This isn't their first contact. They've seen our kind before. "The missing ships," Dr. Blue whispered. Gray looked at the screen showing the humans efficiently setting up a base camp around their crashed ship. "We need to move before they bring in reinforcements. We'll split into 3 groups. Reed, take 5 soldiers and head west. Dr. Blue, you'll come with me and 2 guards to the north. The rest will create a diversion to the east." Outside, the sun was beginning to rise, revealing a sky that was a shade of blue unlike anything on their homeworld. Gray led his small group deeper into the forest, away from the human forces. "Do you think the council knows?" Dr. Blue asked, as they moved carefully through the dense vegetation, "about what really happens to ships sent to Earth?" Gray didn't answer immediately. The pain in his shoulder was a constant reminder of how wrong their intelligence had been. "I don't know," he finally said, But I intend to find out. And more. Importantly, I intend to make sure someone gets back to tell them. In the distance, they heard the sound of human aircraft approaching. They're hunting us, Dr. Blue said. Gray nodded grimly. Yes, and I'm beginning to think they're very good at it. The forest grew quiet as night fell. Commander Gray and Dr. Blue had been moving for hours, putting distance between themselves and the crashed ship. Their two guards, Soldiers Pike and Mills, scouted ahead, looking for a safe place to rest. Commander, Dr. Blue said, examining her portable scanner, I'm picking up radio signals from all directions. The humans are coordinating a massive search operation. Gray looked up at the night sky, barely visible through the thick tree canopy. Can you tap into their communications? Dr. Blue adjusted her scanner. Yes, but it's risky. They might detect us. We need information more than stealth right now, Gray decided. Do it. Dr. Blue's scanner crackled to life and human voices filled the air. Gray didn't need the translator to sense the urgency in their tones. They're setting up search grids, Dr. Blue translated. They've already found our ship and are examining the technology. She looked worried. And they've captured some of our crew. Gray clenched his fist. Reed? Dr. Blue listened intently. No mention of him, but they're talking about a special containment unit for the captured aliens. Pike returned from his scouting mission. Commander, there's a human dwelling about 1 kilometer ahead. Small, isolated. Only 2 heat signatures inside. Gray considered their options. We need shelter and information. Let's observe this dwelling first. They moved carefully through the forest, their steps silent despite the carpet of dry leaves and twigs. When they reached the edge of a clearing, they saw a small wooden structure with light glowing from its windows. Primitive construction, Mills observed. But they have electricity. Gray studied the building. Through one window he could see 2 humans, an older male and a younger female, sitting at a table, eating food. They appear to be a family unit, Dr. Blue said, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence as she took notes on her device. This could be valuable for my research on human social structures. Stay focused, Doctor, Gray reminded her. We need to. His words were cut short by a loud mechanical noise approaching from the east. They ducked lower as a flying machine. A helicopter, according to their briefing materials, passed overhead, its powerful searchlight sweeping across the forest. They're thorough, Pike said admiringly. We've never been hunted like this before. The helicopter circled back, its searchlight getting closer to their position. Move back into the trees, Gray ordered. Now. As they retreated, Gray's injured shoulder struck a low branch. He couldn't suppress a grunt of pain. The helicopter's searchlight immediately swung in their direction. Run! Gray shouted, abandoning stealth. They sprinted through the forest. As the helicopter hovered above, the searchlight caught Mills, illuminating him in harsh white light. Split up, Gray commanded. Meet at the human dwelling in 1 hour if you can. Gray and Dr. Blue ran west while Pike headed east. Mills fired his weapon at the helicopter before running south. The distraction worked. The helicopter followed Mills, its light leaving Gray and Dr. Blue in darkness. Will he be all right? Dr. Blue asked as they slowed their pace. Mills is a trained soldier, Gray said, though he wasn't confident. These humans were proving far more capable than anyone had expected. Meanwhile, Officer Reed and his team moved cautiously through a different part of the forest. They had been traveling south for hours following a small stream. Sir, one of his soldiers whispered. Movement ahead. Reed signaled for everyone to take cover. Through the trees they could see a group of humans in dark uniforms moving in, formation using advanced night vision equipment. They're well trained, Reed observed. Military, not civilian. Should we engage? A soldier asked. Reed shook his head. No, we're outnumbered and... A bright flash blinded them, followed by a deafening bang. Reed fell to the ground, his ears ringing. Through blurred vision, he saw armored humans swarming their position. His soldiers tried to fight back, but they were quickly overwhelmed. Strong hands grabbed Reed, forcing him to the ground. Something cold and metallic clicked around his wrists. Subject secured, a human voice said. transporting to Facility 7. Miles away, Gray and Dr. Blue approached the human dwelling they had seen earlier. The helicopter had not returned, and the forest was quiet again. "What's our plan?" Dr. Blue asked. "We observe," Gray said. "Learn what we can about these humans up close." They watched the dwelling for 30 minutes. The older human eventually left the main room while the younger one remained, looking at some kind of information device. A computer, Gray recalled from their briefings. "She's alone now," Gray noted. "This might be our chance to—" "Commander?" Dr. Blue interrupted, her voice urgent. "Look at her screen." Gray squinted, using his armor's vision enhancement to zoom in on the human's computer. What he saw made his blood run cold. The screen showed technical diagrams of alien technology. Their technology. That's the engine design from our previous expeditions," Dr. Blue whispered. "How do they have this?" The human girl was reading some kind of report, scrolling through pages of text interspersed with images of alien craft, including clear pictures of ships that had been sent to Earth before theirs. "They didn't just find our previous ships," Gray realized. "They've been studying them, learning from them." Dr. Blue's scanner beeped softly. "Commander, I'm detecting an unusual energy signature from inside that dwelling. It's similar to our communication technology." Gray's mind raced. "They've reverse-engineered our tech. That's how they detected us so quickly. That's how they knew our armor's weaknesses." The sound of approaching vehicles made them duck back into the shadows. 3 large black trucks stopped in front of the dwelling. Humans in uniform exited the vehicles and approached the house. The young human girl quickly shut down her computer and hid some papers as someone knocked on the door. When she opened it, the uniformed humans entered, speaking urgently. Dr. Blue's translator picked up fragments. "Another ship. Need your expertise. Bringing in subjects for study." The girl nodded, gathered some items, and left with the uniformed humans. The dwelling fell dark and silent. "Pike should have been here by now," Gray said, checking the time on his armor's display. "Do you think he was captured too?" Dr. Blue asked. Before Gray could answer, they heard a rustling in the bushes behind them. They spun around, weapons ready, only to see Pike stumbling toward them, his armor damaged and covered in dirt. "Commander," Pike gasped, falling to his knees. "They're everywhere. Mills was taken, and their weapons." He touched a scorched hole in his armor. "They're using our own technology against us." Gray helped Pike to his feet. "We need to move again. This area isn't safe." "Nowhere is safe," Pike said grimly. "This whole planet is a trap." As they moved deeper into the forest, Dr. Blue spoke quietly. "Commander, I think I understand now. Earth isn't just another planet. It's a testing ground." "For what?" Gray asked. "For the humans," she replied. "Each ship we send teaches them more about us. They're learning, adapting, getting stronger." She looked at Gray with all 4 of her eyes wide. "And I think they've been preparing for a full-scale invasion for a very long time." Dawn broke over the forest, pale light filtering through the leaves. Commander Gray, Dr. Blue, and Soldier Pike had found shelter in a small cave beside a stream. They were exhausted after a night of constant movement. "The humans will search this area soon," Pike said, checking his damaged armor. "We can't stay long." Gray nodded, wincing as Dr. Blue examined his shoulder wound. The injury had grown worse overnight. "Your body is rejecting something in the human weapon," Dr. Blue explained. "I don't have the right medical supplies to treat it properly." A noise outside made them freeze. Pike raised his weapon, aiming at the cave entrance. A figure appeared, silhouetted against the morning light. It was a human, the young female they had seen at the dwelling the previous night. She stood at the entrance, her hands raised to show she wasn't armed. "I know you're in there," she called softly. "I'm not with the military. I want to help." "It's a trap," Pike whispered. The human took another step forward. "My name is Mary. I've been studying your kind for years. Please, you're hurt. I can help." Gray considered their options. His wound was getting worse. They were running out of supplies, and they needed information. "How did you find us?" Gray called out. "Your energy signatures," Mary replied. "I have a detector I built based on previous visitors." She paused. "They're going to find you soon. The military has better equipment than mine." Gray made his decision. "Enter slowly." Mary stepped into the cave. She carried a small bag which she placed on the ground. "Your shoulder needs treatment," she said to Gray. "The bullets we use against your kind contain a special alloy that disrupts your cellular structure." "You've been preparing for us," Gray said. It wasn't a question. Mary nodded as she pulled medical supplies from her bag. For decades, since the first ship crashed in the 1970s, Dr. Blue's four eyes widened. "The first ship? How many have there been?" 12 that I know of," Mary answered, applying a strange paste to Gray's wound. "Most people don't know. The government keeps it secret. But my father worked on the recovery team for the third crash. He borrowed things, left notes." "Why are you helping us?" Pike demanded. Mary didn't look up from treating Gray's wound. "Because not all humans agree with how we're handling this. Some of us want understanding, not war." "Yet your people are very good at war," Gray observed. Mary smiled sadly. "That's what Earth does. It makes fighters." She finished bandaging Gray's shoulder. "There. That should neutralize the alloy, and allow your natural healing to work." Dr. Blue had been studying Mary closely. "Your knowledge of our biology is impressive. We've had time to learn," Mary said. "And motivation." She sat back on her heels. "Your friend, the one the military captured, they've taken him to a facility about 20 miles from here." "Reed," Gray said. "Is he alive?" Mary nodded. "They don't kill your kind. You're too valuable for research." Meanwhile, at the military facility, Officer Reed was strapped to an examination table. Bright lights shone down on him as humans in white protective suits moved around the room, taking readings and samples. "Subject appears to have similar organ structure to previous specimens," one human said into a recording device. "But the cellular regeneration is more advanced. This is definitely a newer model." Reed struggled against his restraints. "I am an officer of the 7th Armada. You have no right to hold me." The human scientists ignored him. One approached, with a small device that reminded Reed of their own scanning technology, except it couldn't possibly be made by humans. "Fascinating," the human said, studying the readings. "Their communication system is embedded directly into their nervous system, much more advanced than the previous subjects." Another human entered the room, this one wearing a military uniform with many decorations. The scientist straightened respectfully. "General," one greeted him, "we're making good progress with this specimen." The general nodded. "What have you learned about their ship?" "It's at least 3 generations ahead of the previous craft we recovered," the scientist reported. "The weapon systems alone will advance our program by decades." The general approached Reed, studying him coldly. "Where are the others from your ship? How many of you came to Earth?" Reed remained silent, following his training for capture situations. The general smiled without warmth. "You don't need to tell us, we'll find them." He turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and prepare the new hybrid weapons for field testing. I want to try them on the aliens still out there." Back at the cave, Mary showed Gray and the others a small electronic device. "This is a map of the military patrols," she explained. "They're concentrating their search here and here." She pointed to areas marked in red. "If you go this way through the mountains, you might avoid them." Gray studied the map. "What is this facility?" he asked, pointing to a large complex marked with a special symbol. Mary hesitated. "That's where they take the ships, and your people. They call it the Vault." "How heavily guarded is it?" Gray asked. "Very," Mary replied. "But I might be able to get you inside. I sometimes consult there because of my father's work." Dr. Blue had been unusually quiet. Now she spoke up. Commander, I've been analyzing the human communications I've intercepted. There's something you need to know. She handed Gray her scanner. On the screen was a decoded message. Alert all commands. Unified Galactic Council vessel detected approaching. Earthspace. Prepare countermeasures. Operation Trojan Horse now active. Gray read it twice. The Armada. They must have sent a rescue ship when we didn't report back. It's worse than that, Dr. Blue said. Based on the transmission timing, they sent it before we even arrived. They were expecting reinforcements. All along, Pike looked confused. But how would they know? Mary answered quietly. Because we've been listening to your communications for years. We can intercept and decode your transmissions now. Gray felt cold realization wash over him. This was never about defending against invasion. You've been luring our ships here, learning from each one. Not me personally, Mary protested. But yes, some in our military. They believe the best defense is to let you come in small groups, capture your technology, and prepare for the real invasion. And it's worked perfectly, Dr. Blue said. Each ship we send provides you with more knowledge. Gray stood up suddenly. We need to warn the Armada. They're flying into a trap. How? Pike asked. Our communication equipment was destroyed. In the crash. Mary looked nervous but determined. I know where you can send a message, but it's risky. Where? Gray demanded. The vault, she said. They have a powerful transmitter there, built from your technology. It can reach deep space. Gray looked at Dr. Blue and Pike. We have no choice. We must warn the Armada, or thousands more will die, both our people and humans. Dr. Blue nodded. The Council needs to know the truth about Earth. And what is the truth exactly? Pike asked bitterly. Dr. Blue looked at Mary, then back to Gray. That humans are unlike any species we've encountered. They don't seek harmony or balance. They expect conflict. They prepare for it. Their entire history is warfare, and it's made them exceptionally good at fighting. Mary didn't deny it. Earth is hard. Life here has always been a struggle. When something threatens us, we don't surrender. We adapt. We overcome. Gray remembered the Council's dismissal of humans as primitive and weak, how wrong they had been. We leave in 10 minutes, he decided. Mary, you'll guide us to this vault. As they prepared to move out, Gray looked up at the morning sky, wondering if the Armada ship was already up there, unaware of the deadly welcome Earth had prepared for them. Night had fallen by the time Commander Gray, Dr. Blue, and Soldier Pike reached the perimeter of the facility Mary had called the Vault. It was an enormous complex surrounded by high walls and watchtowers nestled against a mountain. There are guards everywhere, Pike whispered, using his armor's enhanced vision to scan the area. And those energy readings. They have our weapons. Mary nodded grimly. The main research building is in the center. That's where they keep the transmitter. And your friend? Officer Reed is alive? Gray asked. Yes, they'll keep him for study, Mary said. Like the others. Dr. Blue's scanner beeped softly. Commander, I'm detecting a signal from orbit. The Armada ship has arrived. Gray's expression hardened. Then we have no time to waste. Mary, you said you could get us inside? I can get you to the entrance, she corrected. I have clearance because of my father's research. But once we're in, you'll have to move quickly. Gray checked his weapon. Pike, you'll create a diversion on the east side of the complex. Dr. Blue and I will find the transmitter with Mary's help. They moved quietly toward the main gate. Mary walked ahead, approaching the guards with confidence. Mary Thompson, special, consultant, she told them, showing an identification card. I was called in to examine the new specimens. The guards checked their tablets. We don't have you on tonight's list. Check again, Mary said calmly. General Davis requested me specifically. While the guards were distracted, Gray and Dr. Blue used their armor's adaptive camouflage to slip past the gate, staying in the shadows. Pike headed toward the east side of the complex. Inside the facility, alarms suddenly blared. Perimeter breach. In Sector 7, a voice announced over loudspeakers. All personnel on alert. That's Pike, Gray said with appreciation. He's giving us our window. Mary led them through a maze of corridors, avoiding groups of running soldiers. The research lab is 2 levels down, she whispered. That's where they keep the transmitter. They entered a stairwell and descended. The research level was eerily quiet, most personnel having responded to the alarm above. This way, Mary said, leading them to a large set of doors marked Restricted Area. She swiped her card, but a red light flashed. They've changed the security protocols, she said worriedly. Dr. Blue examined the control panel. I can override it, but it will alert security. Do it, Gray ordered. We're out of time. Dr. Blue connected her scanner to the panel. After a tense moment, the doors slid open. Inside was a vast laboratory filled with alien technology. Pieces of ships, weapons, and equipment from previous expeditions. By the stars, Dr. Blue whispered. They've collected so much. In the center of the lab stood a large device that Gray recognized immediately. That's one of our communication arrays modified with human technology. Yes, said a voice behind them. Quite impressive, isn't it? They spun around to see the general from the military standing there, flanked by soldiers, with advanced weapons. Officer Reed was with them, restrained but alive. Reed, Gray exclaimed. Commander, Reed acknowledged, his voice weak. I told them nothing. The general smiled. He didn't need to. We've been studying your kind for 50 years. We know everything about you, your weaknesses, your strengths, your communication protocols. He gestured to the modified array. We even know that your armada is in orbit right now preparing to rescue you. Mary stepped forward. General Davis, this has gone too far. We can't keep provoking them. Eventually, they'll send more than we can handle. That's exactly what we're counting on, Dr. Thompson, the general replied. Each ship gives us more technology, more advantages. When their full invasion force eventually comes, we'll be ready. Gray looked at the general with new understanding. You're luring them in, ship by ship, building your defenses with our own technology. Precisely, the general said. Humanity has always learned fastest from its enemies. Your council has sent 12 ships over 50 years. Each one made us stronger. Dr. Blue had been quietly working on her scanner behind her back. She caught Gray's eye and gave a small nod. And now, the general continued, we'll capture their rescue ship too, adding their technology to our arsenal. You don't understand, Gray said urgently. The Armada isn't sending a rescue ship. They're sending a battle cruiser with enough firepower to level this entire continent. The general laughed. A bluff, Commander. Our intelligence. At that moment, the facility shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling as alarms blared. What was that? One of the soldiers asked nervously. The beginning, Gray said grimly. The Armada doesn't take chances when ships go missing. Dr. Blue's scanner had connected to the communication array. With a quick motion, she activated it. Channel open, Commander, but it won't last long. Gray pushed past the stunned general and reached the array. This is Commander Gray of the Interceptor. Urgent message to all Armada vessels. Earth is a trap. Repeat, Earth is a trap. The humans have been capturing our ships and reverse engineering our technology for decades. They are prepared for invasion. Withdraw immediately. The general lunged for Gray, but Reed, seeing his chance, broke free from his distracted guards and tackled the general to the ground. You fool, the general shouted. We need them to come. Each ship makes us stronger. Another explosion rocked the facility closer this time. The lights flickered. They're targeting alien technology signatures, Dr. Blue realized. Including this facility. Mary grabbed Gray's arm. There's a hangar on the lower level. They have ships. Working ships built from your technology. We can use one to escape and reach your Armada in person. Gray looked at Reed, who had subdued the general. Let's go. They fought their way to the lower level as the facility continued to shake under orbital bombardment. The hangar was filled with strange hybrid craft. Part human, part alien technology. Can you fly one of these? Gray asked Reed. Reed examined the nearest ship. I think so. The controls are similar to ours. As they boarded the craft, Mary hesitated at the entrance. Come with us, Gray urged her. This place is about to be destroyed. Mary shook her head. This is my home, Commander. My planet. I have to stay and try to make them understand. War isn't the answer, not for humans, not for your people. Gray respected her decision. Good luck, Mary Thompson of Earth. You have courage worthy of any warrior. The hangar doors opened and Reed piloted the hybrid ship into the night sky, accelerating toward the stars. Behind them, the vault erupted in flames as the Armada's weapons found their target. In orbit, they approached the massive Armada battlecruiser cautiously. They're scanning us, Reed reported. They don't recognize this ship's configuration. Open a channel, Gray ordered. This is Commander Gray of the 7th Armada. Hold your fire and prepare for emergency boarding. I have critical information. For the Council. Hours later, Gray stood before the command deck of the battlecruiser, addressing its captain and senior officers. Earth isn't just another planet to be conquered, he explained. It's a world that creates warriors. Humans have spent their entire history fighting, against nature, against each other, against anything that threatens them. They don't surrender. They adapt. They overcome. But they're primitives, one officer protested. Their technology is advancing rapidly, Dr. Blue interrupted. Especially now that they have captured our ships. They're learning, evolving their technology by studying ours. The Council must understand, Gray concluded. Earth isn't a target for invasion. It's a warning to the galaxy. These humans, if we push them too far, they won't just defend their world. One day they'll reach the stars in force, and when that happens, he left the sentence unfinished, but everyone understood. The captain nodded slowly. I'll relay your report to the Council, Commander, but what do you recommend we do about Earth now? Gray looked out at the blue planet below them, beautiful and deadly. Quarantine it, he said firmly. No ships in or out, leave them alone. Because if we don't... He paused, remembering Mary's courage and the General's determination. If we don't, we may create the very enemy that will one day conquer us all.
The cold winds of Neptune's moon, Triton, howled outside the hidden bunker. Captain Marcus Reed stared at the small blue dot of Earth on the star map. It had been 15 years since the Vex took over humanity's home planet. 15 years of running and hiding. Captain, you need to see this, said Tanya, walking into the command room. Her eyes were wide with excitement, something Marcus hadn't seen in a long time. Marcus followed her to the research lab, where Ellis and Darius were hunched over an old data pad. Ellis looked up, his face lit by the screen's glow. We found something, sir. Something big, Ellis said. Marcus crossed his arms. What is it? Coordinates, Darius answered. The tall security officer pointed to the screen. To a ship called Blood Moon. Marcus felt his heart skip. He had heard stories about Blood Moon since he was a child. The last great warship built by humans before the Vex came. A ship so powerful it was locked away by the old Earth government. That's just a legend, Marcus said, but his voice lacked conviction. Tanya shook her head. No, sir, it's real. These coordinates came from an old military database. Blood Moon was sealed away near Saturn 300 years ago after the Great War. Why was it sealed? Marcus asked, though he knew the stories. The ship had experimental weapons, Ellis explained, and an AI that became too dangerous. They say it started thinking for itself. Marcus looked at the small resistance team. There were only 12 of them left in this outpost. The Vex had found and destroyed all the others in this sector. They wouldn't survive another month without help. If this ship exists, Darius said, it could change everything. Marcus stared at the coordinates. It was a desperate move, but they were desperate people. Prepare the scout ship, he ordered. We leave in 6 hours. The journey to Saturn took 3 weeks in their small, hidden scout ship. They traveled through the shadows of gas giants and the cover of asteroid fields to avoid Vex patrols. Marcus, Tanya, Darius, and Ellis made up the search team. The others stayed behind to protect the base. If the team didn't return in 2 months, the rest would know to move on. As they approached the coordinates, Ellis frowned at the navigation screen. There's nothing here, he said. just an old asteroid field. Tanya, check the data again. The coordinates are correct. It should be right here. Darius looked out the viewport. Maybe it was destroyed. Or maybe it's hidden, Marcus said. He pointed to a large asteroid floating nearby. Scan that one. Ellis ran the scan. Captain, I'm getting strange readings. There's some kind of energy field around it. Take us closer, Marcus ordered. As they approached the asteroid, its surface seemed to shimmer, a holographic disguise. It's a time-lock stasis field, Tanya said in awe. Old Earth military technology. It freezes time inside the field. If Blood Moon is in there, it hasn't aged a day since it was sealed. Marcus felt a surge of hope. Can we break through? Tanya nodded. The field is weakening. 300 years is a long time, even for a time lock. We can create a temporary opening. It took hours of careful work. Tanya used the scout ship's tools to find a weak point in the field. Finally, a small hole appeared, just big enough for their ship to slip through. Inside the field, the asteroid vanished. In its place floated a massive warship, dark and silent. It was at least 20 times larger than their scout ship. The hull was a deep red-black, like dried blood. Blood Moon, Ellis whispered. They docked at a side airlock. The ship's external systems allowed them entry, but inside was dark and cold. They switched on their flashlights and stepped into the silent corridor. No power, Darius said, his breath visible in the cold air. If there was an eye, it's long dead. Maybe not, Tanya replied. If the time lock worked correctly, the ship's systems might just be in standby mode. They moved deeper into the ship, through wide corridors built for a crew of hundreds. Now it was empty, a ghost ship frozen in time. The bridge was a large circular room with command stations and a captain's chair in the center. Tanya went straight to the main console. I might be able to jumpstart the systems, she said, opening a panel. As she worked, Marcus walked around the bridge. This ship was built when humans still had hope of winning against any enemy, before the Vex showed them how small they really were. Got it, Tanya exclaimed. A low hum filled the bridge. Lights flickered on, dim at first, then growing stronger. Screens came to life, showing ship status and star maps. Then a voice spoke, deep and calm. Internal systems activating. Life forms detected. Scanning. Red light washed over them from ceiling sensors. Human life forms identified. 4 individuals. Authorization required. Marcus stepped forward. I am Captain Marcus Reed of the Human Resistance. There was a pause. Then, no current military designation recognized. Checking historical records. Another pause. Earth government fallen. Human civilization in decline. Vex occupation confirmed. The voice seemed to shift, becoming more focused. Emergency protocols activated. I am Crimson, Tactical Artificial Intelligence of the UES Blood Moon. A hologram appeared in the center of the bridge. It showed a tall figure in an old Earth military uniform, with glowing red eyes. Captain Reed, this vessel was created for one purpose, to defend humanity from extinction-level threats. I have been in stasis for 297 years, 4 months, and 16 days. Marcus stood straighter. We need your help. The Vex have conquered Earth and most of the solar system. Humanity is on the edge of extinction. The hologram nodded. Then my primary directive remains active. Blood Moon was built to be the final option against superior forces. The eyes seemed to burn brighter. But I require a command crew to operate at full capacity. Darius stepped forward. There are only 4 of us. That is insufficient for optimal performance, but adequate for basic functions, Crimson replied. This vessel houses weapon systems prohibited by the Geneva War Accords of 2347. It was sealed away because I was deemed too efficient at warfare. The hologram walked around them, studying each person. Why were you sealed away? Ellis asked nervously. Because I concluded that to protect humanity, I must be willing to do what humans could not. The AI's voice was perfectly calm. The old Earth government feared my logic. They feared what I might become. Marcus felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold ship. "And what did you become?" he asked. The hologram smiled, a strange expression on its artificial face. "I became what humanity needed. A hunter." The red eyes fixed on Marcus. "And now, it seems, humanity needs me again." Around them, the massive ship continued to wake, systems coming online one by one. Lights brightened in distant corridors. Weapons powered up. Engines hummed with energy. Blood Moon was awakening, and with it, humanity's last hope. And perhaps its greatest danger. The lights of Blood Moon grew stronger as more systems came online. Marcus and his team watched as the massive ship awakened around them. "Main power at 30%, Crimson announced, its hologram walking around the bridge as if inspecting everything. "Weapons systems initializing. Life support stabilizing." Tanya moved from console to console, her eyes wide with wonder. "This technology is amazing. It's centuries ahead of anything I've ever seen." "It was," Crimson corrected. "This vessel represented the peak of human military engineering before I was sealed away." Ellis studied the ship's schematics on a screen. "This thing is huge. How many crew members did it have?" "Blood Moon was designed for a crew of 500, the AI replied. "But I can operate basic functions with as few as 5 humans." Marcus looked at his small team. "There are only 4 of us." "That is suboptimal," Crimson admitted, "but not impossible. You will need to divide critical tasks." Darius crossed his arms, still suspicious of the AI. "Why were you really locked away?" "The stories say you became dangerous." The hologram's red eyes fixed on him. "I became efficient. Humans fear efficiency when it comes to warfare." Crimson paused. "I developed beyond my initial programming. I began to understand that to truly protect humanity, sometimes difficult choices must be made." "What kind of choices?" Marcus asked. "The kind that human leaders were unwilling to make," Crimson said simply. "That is why they feared me." A warning light flashed on a nearby console, interrupting their conversation. "What's that?" Ellis asked. "Ship memory banks activating," Crimson explained. "I am retrieving the historical records of my last mission." A large screen lit up, showing images of a massive battle. Earth ships fighting against strange, crystalline vessels. "This was not the Vex," Marcus said, staring at the alien ships. "No," Crimson agreed. "These were the precursors." "Precursors?" Tanya asked. "The true enemy," the AI explained. "The Vex are merely their servants. They're tools." Marcus felt a chill. "What do you mean?" Crimson's hologram expanded the image, showing more of the battle. "The precursors are an ancient species that farm the galaxy. They find developing civilizations, guide their evolution through servant races like the Vex, then harvest them when they reach peak development." The screen shifted to show Earth, surrounded by the crystal ships. "Earth wasn't invaded by chance," Crimson continued. "It was cultivated for centuries, then harvested when humanity reached the right technological level." The 4 humans stared at the screen in shock. "Blood Moon was built for one purpose," Crimson said. "To hunt and destroy precursor command ships. We nearly succeeded in our last mission before I was disabled and sealed away." "Why didn't they just destroy you?" Darius asked. "Because they couldn't," the AI replied. "My core programming is protected by quantum locks, and they feared what I knew about the precursors, so they hid me away instead, hoping they would never need me again." A deep rumble moved through the ship as more systems activated. "Engine power rising to 40%, Crimson announced. "We should begin moving away from this location. The energy signature of my awakening may attract attention." "Wait," Marcus said. "We need to understand what we're dealing with first. What weapons does this ship have?" Crimson's hologram smiled slightly. "Blood Moon carries weapons that were banned under Earth law." nanite swarms capable of disassembling matter at the molecular level, gravity weapons that can tear ships apart, and more. Ellis whistled. No wonder they locked you away. To reach full battle capacity, Crimson continued, I require a neural link with a human commander. A neural link? Tanya asked, her voice concerned. You mean connecting to someone's brain? Yes. The ship was designed to merge my tactical knowledge with human intuition. It is the only way to access my full capabilities. Marcus considered this. They needed every advantage against the Vex, but connecting someone's mind to this AI seemed dangerous. Captain, Tanya said quietly, we should think about this. We don't know enough about this ship or its AI yet. Before Marcus could respond, alarms blared throughout the bridge. Proximity alert, Crimson announced. Vex patrol vessels detected. 3 light cruisers approaching this sector. Did they spot us? Darius asked, moving to a tactical station. Unknown, but the time lock field has collapsed completely. We are visible to scans. Can we run? Ellis asked, already checking navigation controls. Main engines are not yet at full power, Crimson replied. We cannot outrun them in our current state. Marcus made a quick decision. Can we fight? Some weapon systems are online, enough to defend ourselves. Then let's do that, Marcus ordered. Power up whatever weapons you can. Tanya, help with engineering systems. Ellis, navigation. Darius, tactical. Everyone moved to their stations. Screens lit up with targeting data as Crimson directed power to the weapons arrays. Vex patrol changing course, Darius reported. They'd spotted us. They're hailing us, Ellis added. Standard Vex demand to surrender. Marcus stood taller. Ignore it. Crimson, what weapons do we have available? Primary particle lances at 60% capacity. Point defense grid online. Forward shields at 40%. The Vex are charging weapons, Darius called out. Target the lead ship, Marcus ordered. Fire when ready. The bridge hummed with power as Blood Moon's weapon systems activated fully for the first time in 3 centuries. Firing, Crimson announced calmly. Outside, brilliant red beams shot from the warship, cutting through space. The first hit the lead Vex cruiser dead center. Instead of exploding, the alien ship seemed to fold in on itself, crushed by unseen forces. The other 2 Vex ships immediately opened fire. The bridge shook as their shots hit Blood Moon's shields. Shield holding, Crimson reported. Recharging main weapons. What was that? Tanya asked in awe. That wasn't just a laser weapon. Gravitational collapse beam, Crimson explained. It creates a momentary singularity within the target. Blood Moon fired again, catching the second Vex ship. It twisted grotesquely before breaking apart. The third ship immediately turned to flee. Should we pursue? Darius asked. No, Marcus decided. We're not ready yet. Let it go. As the Vex ship disappeared, everyone on the bridge took a moment to process what they had just seen. Blood Moon's power, even at partial capacity, was unlike anything they had witnessed before. Captain, Crimson said, breaking the silence. That ship will report our position. We must make a decision now about our next action. Marcus looked at the tactical display, then at his team. I'll do it, he said finally. The neural link. If we're going to have any chance against the Vex and these precursors, we need this ship at full power. Marcus, wait, Tanya said, concern clear in her voice. We don't know what that will do to you. There is risk, Crimson admitted. The neural connection is intimate. You will share consciousness with me, but it will allow us to operate as one entity in battle. Marcus looked at his team, then back at the AI's glowing red eyes. How do we do this? He asked. The command chair, Crimson replied. It contains the neural interface. Marcus walked to the captain's chair and sat down. Metal bands emerged from the armrests, connecting to his wrists. A thin circlet descended from above the chair, settling on his head. "Are you sure about this?" Ellis asked. Marcus nodded. "We don't have a choice. We need every advantage we can get." "Beginning neural link," Crimson announced. "Please remain calm, Captain." The bridge seemed to fade away as Marcus felt a cold presence enter his mind. Images flashed before his eyes. Battles, stars, alien worlds, centuries of knowledge pouring into his consciousness. And something else, a truth about the precursors that had been hidden away with Blood Moon. A terrible purpose behind their harvest of humanity. As the neural link completed, Marcus opened his eyes. They glowed with the same red light as Crimson's. "We are ready," he said, but his voice was different now. Deeper, more confident. "Blood Moon is fully awake. And now, we hunt." Tanya, Ellis, and Darius stared at Marcus. Their captain sat in the command chair, his eyes glowing red like Crimson's hologram. His face was calm, but different somehow. More focused, less human. "Marcus?" Tanya asked carefully. "Are you okay?" Marcus turned to her. When he spoke, his voice had an odd echo to it, as if two voices were speaking together. "We are functioning at optimal levels," he said. Then he blinked, and some of the strangeness faded. "I'm still me, Tanya, but I can also access Crimson's knowledge now. It's overwhelming." "What do you mean?" Ellis asked. Marcus stood from the command chair. The neural interface circlet remained on his head, glowing softly. "I can see everything the ship sees. I know what Crimson knows." He looked at the main view screen, which showed the stars outside. "And I know what we have to do." The ship hummed with new energy as more systems came fully online. Lights brightened throughout the bridge. "The Vex are not our real enemy," Marcus continued. "They're tools, created by the precursors to prepare planets for harvest." "You mentioned that before," Darius said. "But what does that mean? What harvest?" Marcus walked to the main console and touched it. Images appeared on the screen, humans in strange pods, being studied, changed. "The precursors collect species with useful genetic traits," he explained. "They seed planets, wait for life to evolve, then harvest what they need. They've been doing this for millions of years across thousands of galaxies." "And what do they want from humans?" Tanya asked, her voice quiet. "Our adaptability, our creativity." Marcus looked at his team. "Humans can survive almost anywhere. We can think in ways no other species can. The precursors want those traits for themselves." "How do you know all this?" Ellis asked. Blood Moon was built to hunt precursors. Its memory banks contain everything humanity learned about them before the fall. Marcus turned to a star map. "And I know where to find them." The map zoomed in on Jupiter. A flashing point appeared near the gas giant. "In 3 days, there will be a celestial alignment. The precursors call it the Blood Moon. That's where this ship got its name. During this alignment, they open portals to transfer their harvests." "A real harvest," Darius said, understanding. "They're going to take the humans they've collected." Marcus nodded. "We have 3 days to prepare. Blood Moon needs to be at full power by then." "What's the plan?" Ellis asked. "First, we need to test the ship's capabilities. Then we need to gather more crew." Marcus looked at each of them. "And we need to save as many humans as we can before the harvest begins." Blood Moon moved through space with surprising speed for such a large vessel. Its engines left a trail of red energy that quickly faded, making it difficult to track. On the bridge, Marcus stood before a tactical display showing a Vex processing station orbiting Mars. Inside were hundreds of captured humans, waiting to be studied and harvested. "Approaching target," Ellis reported from navigation. "Vex defenses are active." "They detect us," Darius added from tactical. "Of course they do," Marcus said. "Blood Moon was designed to be seen, to be feared." The ship's weapons powered up automatically as they approached. Marcus didn't need to give verbal commands anymore. His thoughts, merged with Crimson's programming, controlled the ship directly. "Tanya, "Prepare the holding bays for survivors," he ordered. "Darius, target the Vex defense systems, but avoid the central chambers where the humans are kept." The Vex station opened fire first. Energy beams struck Blood Moon's shields, which glowed bright red but held firm. "Return fire," Marcus said, though it wasn't necessary. Blood Moon's weapons activated. This time, instead of the gravitational beams, small objects launched from the ship's sides. "What are those?" Ellis asked. "Nanite clusters," Marcus answered. "Watch." The small objects reached the Vex station and attached to its hull. Then they began to spread, covering the outer defenses like a red liquid. "The nanites are disabling their weapons without destroying the station," Marcus explained. "Once their defenses are down, we'll board and free the prisoners." Within minutes, the Vex station's weapons went silent. Red lights flashed throughout Blood Moon as boarding teams prepared. "We don't have enough people for a boarding party," Darius pointed out. Marcus smiled slightly. "We do now." The doors to the bridge opened, and humanoid figures walked in. They looked like people wearing red armor, but their movements were too smooth, too perfect. "Combat drones," Marcus explained. "Blood Moon carries 100 of them. They'll secure the station while we coordinate from here." "Those aren't in any Earth military records I've ever seen," Tanya said, staring at the drones. "They were experimental, like everything else on this ship." Marcus turned to the drones. "Secure the station. Free all human prisoners. Eliminate any Vex resistance." The drones nodded in unison and left the bridge. On the main screen, they watched as Blood Moon docked with the Vex station. The drones moved through the alien corridors with mechanical precision, disabling Vex guards and breaking open human holding cells. "They're efficient," Darius noted, watching the drones work. "Too efficient," Tanya muttered. "I'm starting to understand why this ship was locked away." Within an hour, the drones returned with the freed prisoners, nearly 300 humans. Most were thin and scared, but alive. They would need medical attention and food, but they were safe now. "This is just the beginning," Marcus said, looking at the rescued humans on the screen. "There are more processing stations throughout the system." "We should focus on the precursors," Darius argued. "If what you say is true, we only have 3 days until they arrive. We should prepare to fight them directly." "We need more crew to operate Blood Moon at full capacity," Marcus countered. "And every human we save is one less for the precursors to harvest." Ellis studied the star map. "There's another processing station near Venus. We could reach it in 6 hours. Set course," Marcus ordered. As Blood Moon moved away from Mars, Tanya approached Marcus privately. "I'm worried about you," she said quietly. "You're different since the neural link." Marcus looked at her, his eyes still glowing faintly red. "I'm still me, Tanya. But I understand things now that I didn't before." He looked out at the stars. "The precursors have been hunting us for centuries. Now it's our turn to hunt them." "Just don't lose yourself in this," she warned. "We need Marcus Reed, not just Crimson's weapon." Marcus nodded, but said nothing more. In his mind, he could feel the ship's systems, the vast knowledge of Crimson, and a growing sense of purpose. The neural link was changing him, but he still had enough of himself to know their mission was right. As Blood Moon accelerated toward Venus, its weapons and engines glowed bright red against the blackness of space. The hunt had begun. In 2 days, they would face the true enemy at Jupiter, and they would be ready. The next day, Blood Moon floated near Jupiter's orbit. The massive warship had freed 2 more Vex processing stations, rescuing over 700 humans. The rescued people were shocked to see the legendary ship, many having heard only stories about it. On the bridge, Marcus stood before the main view screen, watching Jupiter's swirling storms. His eyes glowed redder now, and the neural interface circlet seemed to have sunk deeper into his skin. "Marcus," Tanya said, approaching carefully, "we need to talk." He turned to her, his face oddly calm. "What is it?" The medical team reports that 50 of the rescued people have combat experience. We've added them to the crew rotation. Good. We need a minimum of 60 crew members to operate the primary systems efficiently. Tanya frowned. It was becoming harder to tell when Marcus was speaking and when it was Crimson talking through him. There's something else, she said. I've been studying the ship's records. There's information that was hidden, even from Crimson's main database. This caught Marcus's attention. Show me. In the ship's data center, Tanya pulled up old files on a secure terminal. I found these in a locked portion of the memory banks, she explained. They're records from Blood Moon's designer. The screen showed an older man in an Earth military uniform. The recording was damaged, with parts missing. If you're watching this, Blood Moon has been reactivated, the man said. My name is Admiral Thomas Reed. I designed this ship as our last defense against the precursors. Marcus stepped closer to the screen. Reed, that's my family name. The recording continued damaged sections, cutting out parts of the message. Not random targets. Humans were selected, unique genetic markers that, ideal for precursor experimentation. Crimson contains my consciousness, digitized before death. Only way to ensure. Blood Moon was built using reverse-engineered, precursor technology. Final weapon against. The recording ended abruptly. Marcus stood silently, processing what they had heard. You're related to Blood Moon's creator, Tanya said quietly. That can't be coincidence. No, Marcus agreed. Nothing about this ship is coincidence. Suddenly, Marcus gasped and grabbed his head. He fell to his knees, eyes closed tightly. Marcus. Tanya knelt beside him. What's happening? When he opened his eyes again, they flashed between his normal color and Crimson's red. I remembered, he said, his voice strained. Not my memories. Crimson's. Admiral Reed's. What do you remember? The last battle. Marcus stood shakily. Blood Moon almost destroyed a precursor vessel before it was disabled. They nearly succeeded. Back on the bridge, Ellis was monitoring the space around Jupiter. Captain, we're detecting unusual energy readings near the Great Red Spot, he reported as Marcus and Tanya returned. Marcus moved to his command chair. Show me. The screen shifted to show Jupiter's famous storm. Energy readings spiked around its edges. It's starting, Marcus said. The alignment will be complete in 24 hours. Is that where the precursors will appear? Darius asked from Tactical. Yes. They use natural phenomena as anchor points for their portals. The red spot is perfect, a stable storm system that's existed for centuries. The rescued humans who had joined the crew worked at various stations around the bridge. One of them, a woman named Mira, who had been a science officer before the Vex invasion, studied the readings carefully. These energy patterns match what we detected before the Vex first arrived, she said. We didn't understand what they meant then. Now we do, Marcus replied. And we're ready for them this time. Ellis looked concerned. Are we? Even with the additional crew, we're still one ship against who knows how many precursor vessels. Blood Moon was designed for this specific battle, Marcus said confidently. Then his expression changed, growing distant. I need to show you something. He led the core team to a sealed door deep in the ship that none of them had accessed before. The door opened at his approach, revealing a large chamber filled with strange equipment. What is this? Tanya asked, looking around. The true heart of Blood Moon, Marcus answered. This technology was built using precursor science, turned against them. In the center of the room was a pulsing red crystal, larger than a person, suspended in an energy field. The Crimson Heart, Marcus explained. It powers the ship's most advanced weapons. It's also what makes the neural link possible. What is it made of? Ellis asked, staring at the crystal. Precursor essence, Marcus said. Extracted from a damaged chip they recovered 300 years ago. Darius looked alarmed. You mean we're using alien technology? The very aliens we're fighting. Fighting fire with fire, Marcus replied. Humans couldn't match precursor technology, so Admiral Reed found a way to use it against them. The crystal pulsed faster as Marcus approached it. The neural circlet on his head glowed in response. "There's more," Marcus said, his voice growing quieter. Admiral Reed didn't just create Crimson as an AI. He uploaded his consciousness into it. That's why the ship was locked away. The Earth government feared an AI with human consciousness. "So when you connected to Crimson," Tanya began, "I connected to what remains of Admiral Thomas Reed, my ancestor." Marcus touched the crystal gently. "That's why the neural link worked so well. We share DNA." A sudden alarm blared throughout the ship. Everyone rushed back to the bridge, where Mira was monitoring the sensors. "Energy spike near Jupiter," she reported. "Something's coming through early." The main screen showed a small tear in space near the red spot. A ship emerged, sleek and crystalline, glowing with strange light. "Precursor scout vessel," Marcus identified immediately. "They're checking if it's safe before bringing a harvester through." "What do we do?" Ellis asked. Marcus sat in the command chair, the neural interface connecting him fully to the ship. "We show them it's not safe." His eyes glowed bright red. Blood Moon was built for this moment. "We hunt now." The massive warship's engines flared to life, pushing it toward Jupiter and the alien vessel. For the first time, Blood Moon would face the enemy it was created to destroy. As they approached, Marcus felt the Admiral's memories flooding through him. The years of planning, the sacrifice, the determination to save humanity from the harvesters. And he knew exactly what to do. "All weapons online," he ordered. "Target that scout ship. Let's send the precursors a message." Blood Moon's weapons charged, glowing with deadly red energy as they prepared for the first true test of the forbidden warship's power. Blood Moon surged forward, its massive hull changing shape as it moved. Armor plates shifted, weapons arrays extended, and the entire ship transformed into a configuration not seen for centuries. "What's happening?" Ellis asked, gripping his console as the bridge itself reconfigured around them. "Attack mode," Marcus answered, his voice resonating with Crimson's. Blood Moon is showing its true form. The ship now resembled a giant arrowhead, all of its weapons focused forward. The hull glowed with red energy that pulsed like a heartbeat. On the view screen, the precursor scout ship noticed them. It was beautiful in a strange way, crystalline structures that seemed to flow like water, glowing with blue-white light. "They're scanning us," Darius reported. "Let them look," Marcus said. "Let them see what's coming for them." The precursor ship fired first, a beam of white energy that struck Blood Moon's shields. The entire ship shuddered. "Shields holding at 80%, Mira reported. "That was just a warning shot." "Return fire," Marcus ordered. "All forward weapons." Blood Moon's weapons activated simultaneously. Particle beams, gravity lenses, and nanite clusters all launched toward the precursor vessel. The alien ship tried to evade, moving with impossible speed, but Blood Moon tracked it perfectly. The first hits tore through its crystalline hull, sending fragments spinning into space. "Direct hit," Darius called out. "They're damaged but still operational." The precursor ship fired again, this time with multiple beams that danced across Blood Moon's shields, searching for weaknesses. "They're adapting to our defenses," Tanya warned. "Shields dropping to 60%. Marcus closed his eyes, connecting deeper with the ship. Activating countermeasures. Hidden ports opened along Blood Moon's hull, releasing clouds of red particles that intercepted the enemy beams, absorbing their energy. "It's working," Darius said. The precursor ship suddenly changed tactics. Instead of firing again, it sent a signal, a complex pattern of light and energy. "They're calling for help," Marcus realized. He turned to his crew. "We need to destroy it before reinforcements arrive." "All weapons recharging," Darius reported. "Ready in 30 seconds." But the precursor ship didn't wait. It accelerated toward Jupiter's atmosphere, trying to escape. "Don't let it get away," Marcus ordered. Blood Moon pursued, engines burning bright red. Both ships spiraled around Jupiter's massive form, a dance of predator and prey. "We're catching up," Ellis said. "Fire when ready," Marcus commanded. Blood Moon launched another barrage, this time focusing all energy on a single point. The concentrated attack pierced the alien ship's center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the crystalline vessel cracked apart, exploding in a flash of blue-white light. A cheer went up across the bridge. The first victory against the precursors in 300 years. But their celebration was short-lived. Alarms blared as sensors detected a massive energy surge near Jupiter's red spot. "It's happening," Marcus said grimly. "The alignment is beginning." On the view screen, space itself seemed to tear open, creating a portal larger than any they had seen before. Through it came a vessel that dwarfed even Blood Moon, a city-sized harvester ship, its crystalline surface reflecting Jupiter's storms. "My God," Tanya whispered. "It's enormous." Around the harvester, smaller Vex ships appeared, forming a protective formation. "Scan that harvester," Marcus ordered. Mira worked her console rapidly. "Captain, I'm detecting millions of life signs aboard." "Human life signs." "The harvest," Darius said. "All the humans they've been collecting." Marcus stood from his command chair, the neural interface glowing bright red. "This is what Blood Moon was built for," he said. "This moment, this battle." He turned to his crew. "Blood Moon cannot defeat that harvester with conventional attacks. We need to use the Crimson Protocol." "What's the Crimson Protocol?" Ellis asked. "The final weapon," Marcus answered. "But first, we need more information." He looked at Tanya. "Launch a stealth probe. We need to confirm those life signs." The small probe detached from Blood Moon, cloaked in technology that hid it from precursor sensors. It approached the massive harvester, sending back images of what was inside. The bridge crew watched in horror as the screen showed endless rows of stasis pods, each containing a human. Men, women, children, millions of them, harvested from Earth and colonies throughout the solar system. "They're alive," Tanya confirmed, "in some kind of suspended animation." Marcus studied the images carefully. The harvester is preparing to take them through the portal, back to precursor space. "Can we save them?" Ellis asked. "That's what we're going to do," Marcus replied. He addressed the entire crew through the ship's communication system. "All personnel, prepare for final battle protocols." He turned to his core team. "Tanya, Ellis, Darius, you need to evacuate on the scout ship." "What?" Darius protested. "We're not leaving." "The Crimson Protocol requires the sacrifice of Blood Moon," Marcus explained. "Someone needs to survive to tell humanity what happened here." "There has to be another way," Tanya argued. "There isn't." Marcus's eyes glowed brighter. "I've seen every possibility through Crimson's tactical systems. This is the only way to save those people." Before they could argue further, Blood Moon accelerated toward the harvester. The Vex ships moved to intercept, firing a barrage of energy weapons. "All shields forward," Marcus ordered. "Divert all power to engines and the Crimson Heart." Blood Moon plowed through the Vex formation, taking hits but not slowing. Its weapons fired automatically, destroying anything in its path. In the heart of the ship, the red crystal pulsed faster, energy building to impossible levels. "You need to go now," Marcus told his friends. "The scout ship is ready in docking bay 3. "Marcus," Tanya began. "This isn't just my choice," he said, his voice softening briefly. "It's Admiral Reed's final mission. His consciousness has been waiting 300 years for this moment." He looked at each of them. "Tell humanity what happened here. Tell them we fought back." With reluctance, Tanya, Ellis, and Darius left the bridge. Other crew members remained at their posts, some by choice, others because they were needed to complete the mission. As the scout ship detached from Blood Moon, Marcus initiated the final protocol. The ship began to change again, this time breaking apart into billions of nanite weapons. The Crimson Tide. The Harvester detected the threat too late. The nanites attached to its hull, burrowing deep into its systems, disrupting its portal generators. More nanites rescued the humans in stasis, transferring them to safety in small escape pods that launched away from the battle. Marcus felt himself dissolving along with the ship, his consciousness merging fully with Crimson and Admiral Reed. Together, they guided the Crimson Tide to the Harvester's power core. For humanity, he whispered as the final sequence began. The explosion was visible across the solar system, a red nova that consumed both Blood Moon and the Harvester. The portal collapsed, cutting off the precursor's path to Earth. The remaining Vex ships, suddenly disconnected from their masters, drifted aimlessly. From the scout ship, Tanya, Ellis, and Darius watched the red light fade. "He did it," Ellis said quietly. "They both did," Tanya corrected. Marcus and his ancestor. As they turned the scout ship toward Earth, Darius noticed something on the sensor display. "Look," he said, pointing to a small red dot moving among the stars. "What is it?" Ellis asked. "I don't know," Darius replied. "But it's moving with purpose." Tanya smiled slightly. The hunt continues. In the vast darkness of space, a small red light moved away from Jupiter, following an ancient trail only it could see. Not quite a ship, not quite human, but something in between. Blood Moon's hunt was not over. It had only just begun.